Hello, hello, hello. What's up, y'all? We back, we back, we back. We are back. Let me make sure I got all my stuff going on here. I hope all is well, y'all. It's been a month, okay? The time went by fast, but not so fast. And I'm excited to jump back in. It was a well-needed break. It was a well-needed rest. Um, so I'm refreshed. I'm excited to get back to the regularly scheduled programming. Um, so I'm getting everything pulled up. Thank you to everyone who voted and went in and looked at all of the topics that we decided that I put in that, and we decided to talk about building good or better habits. So thank you to everybody who actually went in and voted. I appreciate you. Um, and I hope tonight is helpful. And I hope that it's fruitful. I hope it brings a sense of an initiating of building good habits, because there's so much neuroscience that goes into the brain and habits and why it works, why it sometimes works and why it doesn't work. So I'm going to touch on it a little bit tonight. But I'll also give you guys some resources to take away, because it is a very in-depth topic that we can't get through in 30 to 40 minutes. But I hope this is fruitful. And let's just be real, y'all, right? Like, we may have said either last week, the week before, or the week before that, or a month before, or at the top of the year even, that we're going to get our stuff together, that we're going to build better habits, that we're going to build a better version of ourselves. And by the time we get mid-week in or mid-month in or mid-year in, all of that goes out the window, right? And I say that as me, myself. I do that too. So completely understand. You may be desiring to want to stop smoking, or you may be wanting to be more consistent with your workout, or you may want to just be able to learn a new thing or just establish a new thing into your routine. And sometimes it fails because, not because we don't necessarily care, but because we're human. And it's just a simple struggle that we as humans will have from day to day of trying to build new habits. So tonight, we're going to talk about it more in detail. We'll talk about how to mindfully build better habits that actually are going to stick or stay around. And I'm adding mindful into the piece because it's the more mindful you are, that can help create a change that will actually last a bit longer than us trying to try to push ourselves or try to motivate ourselves, or willpower, right? As far as like being self-disciplined. So I hope this helps. So just whether you are trying to be more consistent, break an old pattern, or simply live just a more intentional life, this conversation tonight is going to be for you. So I hope, again, I hope, and pray that it's helpful. If this is your first time, my name is Debbie. I'm a certified mindfulness coach. On this channel, we explore mindfulness through different or several different lenses, like meditations and practical mindfulness tools that will help you in your everyday life, right? Help you to be more present, help life to be more meaningful. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like the live, make sure to share the live with anyone that you feel can benefit from this live. And most of all, talk back to me. If you have questions throughout this conversation, if you want to add anything, just let me know. Feel free to talk back to me. And if you're watching now, make sure to drop in the comments where you're watching from. I would love to know where everyone's watching from. And also, how are you? Let me know in the comments how you're feeling today. And let me just get everything up here. Ghostly Sillage, Hey, welcome in. RJ33, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Ghostly Sillage. I appreciate that. Even though my hair gets on my nerves, it's here. So thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's dive in, y'all. Let's talk about our topic tonight, which is, again, how can we build good habits, better habits? Let's start with why it's hard to change. Why is it so difficult for us to build better habits or to change or shift our habits, right? So the first thing to think about is that, and this is a whole neuroscience background, right? So this can go very in depth very quickly. But one thing I want to just remind us or let us know that the brain likes what's familiar, right? So the brain is conditioned to bring us safety, right? My day was good. My day was good. Thanks, RJ. Hey, Hiru, welcome in. Welcome in. So where was I at? Why is it hard to make the change? First, the brain likes what's familiar. Okay. So when it comes to the job of the brain and even the job of the nervous system is to keep us safe, right? So that's what it's going to automatically do. So when it comes to building a new habit, because it's unfamiliar, our brains or our nervous system is going to automatically reject it. It's already going to resist it. That's just the way that our bodies are meant to work. So sometimes it's hard for us to change because we're unable to move past or get past that familiarity, the familiar piece of it, right? Of us wanting to do the same thing over and over again just because it feels comfortable. This is why building a new habit is uncomfortable because our brains and our nervous system is going to result back to its natural state, which is what we've already trained it to do. So if you have spent years and years training your brain and training your nervous system to react in a certain way or to have a certain action or behavior, when you try to change that, it's going to automatically bring up resistance. It's going to automatically bring up frustration. It's going to automatically bring up emotions that are uncomfortable emotions, which makes you resist it, makes you not want to do it. Okay, so that's the first thing to understand, is that with building a new habit, it's not just a mental thing, it's also the physiological thing behind it, where your body is actually physically going to resist in the beginning. Okay, so that's point number one. Point number two, you may feel that small changes are insignificant, right? So sometimes we want to make these habit changes, but because it's a small change or because it's a small tweak, um, it makes you think that it's not going to make a big difference, right? In actuality, tiny changes can make a huge difference. Like 1% thing that you do better, or 1% thing that you do worse can make 100% the difference. Sometimes it just takes one tweak. And with that one tweak, it can make things so much better, so much more improved, or so much worse, or so much, detrimental, right? So understanding that those small little changes, those small daily steps, baby steps that you're taking are so important to the big picture. But it doesn't feel like that sometimes because you don't see the immediate reaction. Okay. Um, Thank you. I appreciate that. What is your favorite animal? I don't really have a favorite animal. I honestly don't. I don't. I don't. Do I? No, I don't have one. I really don't. Okay, that was number two. You may feel that small changes are insignificant. Number three, old habits run on autopilot. Okay, so going back to the neuroscience, right? When it comes to the brain likes what's familiar. When it comes to your normal everyday habits, your brain is running on autopilot for most of its behaviors and actions. So there's a study that talks about how when it comes to us data, it comes up to our day-to-day actions, 90% of our actions are unconscious. So when we're going through our day to day, when we're brushing our teeth, when we're getting in the shower, when we're doing our hair, when we're, getting ready for work, or even when we're doing our jobs, or even driving, right? 90% of those behaviors are things that our body is automatically doing just based off of the fact that it's a part of our subconscious or unconscious mind. So, the point of habits or building a new habit is to remove those old habits from our subconscious or unconscious conscious mind and replace them with new habits. So, sometimes it's very difficult for us to make a change because our autopilot has been on that autopilot for so long. And we talked about this just a couple of, I think in the first point when it's talking about familiarity, we, those old habits are going to be running on that autopilot to the point where, in order to replace it or to change it or to alter it, um, it's going to take some time, right? So just understand that most of our days, just a second, y'all. Um, just a second. Um, because I don't know what's going on in the comments. Okay, so where was I at? Old habits run on autopilot. So, yes, about 90% of our daily behaviors come from the unconscious mind. So, understanding that when it comes to the autopilot, we want to reprogram the autopilot. Like I mentioned before, I think I've said this before in other lives, is that our brain is like a computer. And so we spend our lives programming our computer to work and operate a certain way. The best thing about computers is that if it is operating a certain way and you want it to operate differently, you have the opportunity to reprogram it. But in order for you to do that, you have to do a whole entire new reset. You may have to remove and strip things from the computer and then re-download things. So that's pretty much how our brain is working, right? So if you have something on autopilot, you're going to have to strip some things. You're going to have to take some things out. You're going to have to reorganize and reframe some things and then re-download a new program. And that's what the process of building a new habit looks like. You're stripping things away in order to replace and add to, and then continue with that consistency. Okay, so that was number 3. Number 4 was, ultimately, we lack patience. Okay, we are on this train of go 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 go. We live in a fast-paced life, and so when we're trying to do a new habit or create a new habit, is usually because we're already at a point where it needs to happen now, instead of us being proactive about building new habits. So we get impatient. We go through, this process of I'm living a certain way. And then once we realize and come to awareness that it's not working, it's typically already too late. Not going to say it's too late, but it's typically already at the point where you need or want results right now. And because building a new habit takes time, we lose patience and then we just give up so quickly. So those are the 4 reasons I would say as to why it's so hard to change. And the more that we are aware of these reasons, the more that we'll be able to be a little bit more patient and compassionate with ourselves in trying to build a new habit. You probably have already heard, because has been around for years now, that it may take 21 days to form a new habit. But it's very oversimplified when it comes to the number of days, because we're all different. We're all trying to work through new habits. We're all trying to do different things and live in different environments. So to say that, oh, it takes 21 days to build a new habit, that may be true for some, but not true for others. So in some of the research that I saw, or have been seeing in some of the different testings that they've done in this space, is that the average is actually 66 days to build a new habit. I know that's a big difference between 21 days, but the average they were finding was actually 66 days to build a new habit. And then the range could be between anywhere between 18 days to 254 days, especially again depending on the person, depending on the habit, and then the consistency. It may take a lot longer for someone to stop smoking than it is for someone to, add a new, breath work to their daily routine, right? So it just kind of depends on the habit that you're trying to break or the habit that you're trying to create. I think it also has to do with starting a habit versus breaking a habit. I think it may be a lot easier for you to start a habit or start a new habit or add a new habit to your day versus breaking an old one. So there's so many, again, it's a lot of neuroscience that's involved with this, but I won't go too deep into it. But I hope that helps bring some insight. So why is it hard? The brain likes what's familiar. Two, you may feel that small changes are insignificant. Number three, old habits run on autopilot. And then number four, we lack patience. Like those are heavily what I found consistent as far as like why it's hard to make a change. So how do we build better habits? Get to the meat part. Okay, Debbie, let's get to it. So I have 7, would it be 7? Yeah, so I have 7 ways that we can build better habits. Again, I hope this is helpful. I hope this gives some insight. Following that, I'll leave you guys with some affirmations that you can take away. And again, I hope this is helpful, okay? So number 1, how can we build better habits? Number 1 is remain present during the process. So like I was mentioning before, our brains are operating sometimes on autopilot when it comes to our behaviors and actions. So the way that we combat that when building habits is to be intentional about being present in our day-to-day activities, right? So the focus isn't on how long it takes, but how present you are while building this new habit. Habits grow faster when they're built with intention, awareness, and compassion rather than pressure. Rather than putting a heavy amount of pressure or judgment or criticism or urgency on ourselves to try to meet this new habit that we're trying to build. It's like planting seeds, right? When you plant a seed in the ground or you plant a seed in the pot, you're not going to sit there and wait for it to just start to sprout up, right? You're going to go to the pot every day, you're going to water it, and then after a certain amount of time, you'll start to see the plant begin to grow. It's the same with building a new habit or building or changing or altering a habit. You just have to water it every day, and eventually you'll see the change. But you have to be consistent in watering it every day, right? It's like watching when they talk about watching a pot boiling boiling water. I can't talk, y'all. A pot of boiling water. Like when you go to put on a pot of water and you put it on to boil, if you sit and watch it, it takes forever for it to start boiling. But if you put it on and then you walk away and then come back, it's like literally a couple of minutes and it's already started boiling. It's kind of the same concept. So you have to remain present during the process, but also understand that the process is going to take some time. So the more present you are, the more patient you are, the more intentional you are in building that habit, the better off you will be and the less pressure you'll put on yourself regarding it. Okay, so that was point number 1, remain present during the process. Number 2, pay more attention to systems rather than goals. Pay more attention to systems rather than the goal, right? So put more emphasis on the system you use to get to the results rather than just the result themselves. So you may have a goal of looking to lose 10 pounds, and you put all of the emphasis on, I need to lose 10 pounds, I need to lose 10 pounds, rather than the daily workout routine, right? So we're ringing in our head the goal rather than ringing in our head the system. So instead of saying, I need to lose 10 pounds, I need to lose 10 pounds, that you should ring in your head, okay, today I need to do this workout. I need to do this. I need to go do my cardio. I need to go do my strength training. I need to do this. I need to do that, right? And sometimes we focus so much on that end result that we don't put any focus to how we're actually going to get there, and then wonder why we're not there. Okay, so put more focus on the system, the process. How am I going to get there? What are the steps? What is the baby step that I need to take today in order for me to meet that end result, versus I just need to get to the end result. Okay. And our brains are wired for results, right? Our brains are wired for instant gratification. So we have to find ways to train our brains and to train ourselves to not look for the instant gratification, but to look at the system, the processes, and the strategy to get where we want to go. Okay. So that was number 2, pay more attention to systems rather than goals. Number 3, reframe habits mindfully. Okay, so reframe your habits mindfully. Mindful habits aren't about control, they're about connection and reward. So noticing what supports your well-being and choosing it with intention. Okay, so what's in it for me, right? Sometimes we give ourselves these disciplines based off of, what we feel like we should be doing, right? Or how we were disciplined in the past, and we kind of regurgitate that to ourselves. Because if you think about it, a lot of the self-discipline that we may have heard is most likely coming from our parents, our guardians, whoever was taking care of us, right? And so that person's voice over the years evolved into your voice, and now it's you telling you to do something that initially initiated from someone else. So there is no connection, right, of how it's beneficial to you. So it makes it more difficult for you to actually take action, or not necessarily take action, but to be consistent in that action. So you have to link that habit to a reward that is important to you. Sometimes we're linking it to, oh, it's just the right thing to do, versus it being, how is it actually beneficial to me? You may even find that the habit that you're trying to build isn't even beneficial to you. You're just building it just because you think it's the right thing to do. And so it's a matter of shifting your brain from whether something is right or wrong to whether something is wise or unwise, right? So of course that actually helps too with your decision making, because for example, it's not wrong for you to wake up late or later in the day, right? But it may be more wise for you to wake up earlier, right? So when you're going into the situation of saying, I need to wake up earlier, you're just telling yourself you need to wake up earlier with no attached reward, right? So you'll say, oh, it's not even wrong for me to wake up late. So I can wake up late if I want to. But if you say, well, it may not be wise for me to wake up late because of X, Y, and Z, right? So it may not be wise for me to wake up at that time because I know I want to work out, and I have this goal of, losing 10 pounds. So I know if I wake up late, it would be unwise for me to do that because then I won't have time to do this. And this is the reward, is me losing my 10 pounds. So you have to find ways to link it to a reward versus you telling yourself that I just need to be more disciplined. The more that you're able to make those connections, the easier it will be for you to stay consistent. right? If you're linking it with something else, especially if it's something that you know is difficult, like for me, it's hard for me to wake up in the morning. It's hard. I don't want to sleep in. I don't want to get up at a certain time. I hate alarms, so like it's just difficult for me. But if I link it to something else, if I link it to something that's important to me, if I link it to something that and work isn't a reason to link it to, okay? Because even if you do gotta work, you still don't want to get up. Especially if it's a job you don't like, right? So if it's a job that you working for right now and you have goals and you have things that you're looking to accomplish, linking it to work is probably not going to work for you, right? So you have to link it to something that you're passionate about, that is rewarding for you, that's nourishing for you, that is that you something that you love. You have to make the links and the connections, and the more links and connections that you can make, the easier it will be for you to do the thing, but also to stay consistent in the thing, right? Now, I sometimes there may not be links that you can see right away. You may have to take some time to really maybe even journal or talk about emotions and feelings and like linking it to those things. But finding ways to connect it to a reward is really what's going to help push you and motivate you to keep going. I don't know what number that was. That was number 3. Okay, that was number 3. Was it number 3? Yes. Okay. Perfect. So now number 4, choose habits that nourish, not punish. Choose habits that nourish, not punish. And this kind of goes back to number 3, but it takes it a little bit more of a step further. So making sure that you're taking the thought of, I move because I want to feel alive, not because I feel behind. Okay? Sometimes we set these habits in place because we're hypercritical of ourselves or we're hyper judgmental, not because we want to feel a different way or we want to establish a new way of life or a new way of being. And so a lot of times we're trying to set these habit change goals based off of, again, like what we think we should be doing versus what we desire and what we need. And so keeping that in mind, again, like I said this before as well, many times we discipline ourselves like our parents instead of seeing good habits as a benefit. So finding ways to, if you have a habit that you're trying to build, why? Ask yourself why. And is this new habit going to nourish me? Or is it going to drain me? Is it going to frustrate me? Like, really think through the habit that you're trying to build and why you're trying to build it and how it benefits you. The more that you are present in that thought pattern, the easier it will be for you to build that habit or, again, to sustain the habit. Okay. So instead of forcing yourself to wake up early, ask, what morning routine helps me to feel calm and centered, right? When you ask that question versus just say, I need to wake up early, it makes it more connected to you, and it's connected to nourishment. It's connected to joy. It's connected to peace versus just being, I need to wake up early. Okay. So it just takes number 3 another step further, but really thinking through how you want to link and connect it. Okay. Number 5, name and anchor. Attach your new habit to something you already do. This is critical, okay? Especially for little small habits, okay? So if you already make coffee every morning, and this is something that you do every morning, but you also want to do a gratitude journal, or you also want to do like quick breath work in the morning. So maybe linking it to your morning coffee. You put your morning coffee on, and then maybe you have like your journal, in the kitchen, and you write down a few gratitude things that you're grateful for, right? Or if you put on your coffee and then you do a minute of deep breathing, right? linking it to something else. If you need to make sure, even if it's something like you just need to take your medicine in the morning and you keep forgetting, maybe sitting your medicine next to your toothbrush. And so when you brush your teeth, you see your medicine, and now you go ahead and you take your medicine after you brush your teeth. So like making sure to name what it is you need to do, but then anchor it to something you already do consistently. Okay? Trying to think of any other examples. I know that like I anchored I want to make sure that I was consistent with my prayer. Or no, I wanted to make sure I was consistent with my walking every morning. And so I now do prayer walks in the morning. So I link my prayer to my walking. So now is when I do my walk, I instantly start in prayer. I'm getting two things done at the same time. And now I'm more consistent in my walking every morning because now I linked it to something that I was doing in the morning, which was prayer. So there's so many different ways that you can link things together. You would know just based off of your own routines and just thinking about what you do every morning, that those things that you do without thinking, right? Going back to those automatic actions and behaviors that are on autopilot. Think about those actions and what habits you want to add or change or adjust, and linking it to something that you already do, right? If there's something you know you already do every morning without thinking about it, what can you link to it or attach to it? That was number 5. Number 6, be aware of support and accountability. Okay, so you don't have to rely on willpower alone. Habits stick when you create reminders, when you track progress, and then when you invite support. Okay, so awareness is knowing that what helps you stay consistent and using those tools intentionally, right? Do you need a to-do list? Okay, is that something that you need to make sure that you do? Maybe picking the time of day when you write your to-do list. Some people do to-do lists in the morning. Some people do the to-do list at night. If you have a tough time going to sleep, you're anxious, you're always thinking about what you need to do the next day, maybe that's the time for you to write your to-do list, because once you write out your to-do list, you may feel a little bit more calm because now you know that everything that you need to do is down on paper, it's on a list, and when you wake up in the next morning, it's waiting for you to start checking off all the stuff that you have to do, right? So writing a to-do list, maybe even an accountability partner, setting reminders in your phone, like thinking about and knowing and understanding you as a person and what it is you need to stay consistent. Okay. And in that, being compassionate and um, being compassionate and giving yourself grace in those areas. I know I forget stuff. I know that that's who I am. I'm going to forget. So I'm that person that needs a to-do list. I write my to-do list. Depends on how much I need to get done. Most of the time I write my to-do list in the morning, but if I have a lot that I have to get done the next day, I may do it that night before, so that way I can go to sleep and not worry about it. So if you know that you're forgetful, you know that you want to try to stay consistent and you do something at a certain time, but you may forget, set yourself reminders. Do yourself a to-do list. Have an accountability partner. Another thing is called cues of action, which I mentioned before, where you give yourself clues or cues to do something else. So for me, if I know that I still need to send emails, I leave my laptop open. So I'm like, okay, I know I still have to send emails. I can't do it right now. I know I have to do it at this certain time. Let me just don't shut your laptop. Just leave it open, so that way every time I look at my laptop, I know it's open because I need to send emails, right? Or like I mentioned before, if you forget to take your medicine every morning, sitting your medicine next to your toothbrush, or sitting it next to your coffee, or having a bottle of water, keeping a bottle of water in your bathroom, so that way you do it as soon as you get out the shower. Like whatever makes sense for you, and you're trying to make sure that you are building this habit, giving yourself cues to take action on those things. If you know that you want to do a gratitude journal and it's something that's quick that you want to do, maybe leaving the notebook out and open, on your counter, so that way when you come out, you say, "Oh, my notebook's open. I need to do my gratitude, sentence or whatever." So like giving yourself little clues here and there to say, "Okay, this is something that I need to do consistently every week." Okay? Or every day. And this is the last one, number 7, which is the obvious. Remain consistent, okay? Habits don't form overnight, y'all. And I think that I've kind of driven that home throughout the live so far. Habits do not happen overnight. They form over repetition, reflection, and grace. Okay? So you want to stay consistent, but stay consistent with love and without judgment. Don't beat yourself up because you forgot. It's going to happen, okay? Especially when you're building a new habit, and especially if you're breaking an old one, okay? So remain consistent, but also show yourself grace. One thing I always try to remind myself too is that motivation, because sometimes we try to rely on, am I motivated to do something? I want to stay motivated, or I want to be motivated. Motivation comes after the action, not before. Okay. Sometimes we may be sitting on the couch, you're like, okay, I need to get up and do this. I need to get up and do this. I need to get up and do that. And you're waiting for that feeling of motivation, and it never comes. And then we wonder why we can't get things done. Motivation typically, that feeling of motivation typically does not come until after we take action, not before we take the action. So sometimes we have to take action when we don't feel like it to get the feeling of motivation, right? So even if it's like I mentioned before, I'll keep my laptop open to to make sure that I remind myself to do emails. But I also do that in my efforts to take action. So if I know that I need to, you know, get together my notes for this live, right? And I got a whole lot of other things going on, and I'm trying to do all of these other things. I take a little action for me to get motivated to finish out the rest of the behavior or action. So if I know that I need to put together my notes, then I'll open my laptop. That's step number 1. Then I'll walk away. Then I go to my laptop. The next step is me opening up a Google Doc. Okay, I'll open up the Google Doc, and then I may walk away, right? And then the next step may be for me to, put together and frame my notes. So I'll put together my outline. So then I'll do my outline, right? And then as I'm doing my outline, that's going to get me motivated to keep doing the notes. So it's kind of breadcrumbing yourself to get the action done. And sometimes you're not going to necessarily need to do that all the time, but I find on my difficult days, I have to trick myself into doing the action by breadcrumbing like that. And so that's a way for you to remain consistent, but that's also a way for you to build motivation. Stop looking for motivation before you do the action. Do the action and then look for the motivation. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I hope this was helpful, y'all. I'll go back to the top before we do affirmations. Number 1 was remain present during the process. Number 2 was pay more attention to systems rather than goals. Number 3, reframe habits mindfully. Number 4, choose habits that nourish, not punish. Number 5, name and anchor. Basically, attach your habit to something you already do. 6 was be aware of support and accountability. And then number 7 was remain consistent. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to jump into some affirmations that you can take away tonight. Again, I hope this is helpful, brought some insight. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 affirmations that I will give you to take away to end out our live. And let me know in the comments, y'all. How is this resonating? Is this helpful? Talk back to me. If you haven't liked the live already, make sure to like the live. If you haven't subscribed already, why? Okay. subscribe. Okay, do that. Share the live out with anybody that you can think could benefit from it. And the live will be saved too, so anybody can come back to it. Awesome. Affirmations. Okay, so affirmation number one: I'm becoming the kind of person who follows through and aligns. I'm becoming the kind of person who follows through and aligns. I'm becoming the kind of person who follows through and aligns. Okay. So I put I'm becoming because when it comes to affirmations, we want to ensure that it's something that holds true to what we currently feel. So if we're trying to build a habit, I always say I'm becoming, or I'm going, I'm trying, I'm being, because we want it to be hold true. Okay. Thank you, Debbie, for all that you're doing. Glad to have come across. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you so much for joining, and I appreciate you for commenting. Awesome. So that was number one. I'm becoming the kind of person who follows through and aligns. Number two, I don't need to be perfect. I simply show up with consistency and intention. I don't need to be perfect. I simply show up with consistency and intention. I'll say that one more time. I don't need to be perfect. I simply show up with consistency and intention. Okay? This ain't about perfection, y'all. When it comes to our habits and building habits, it's not about us being the perfect person. It's about just being a newer or a better version of us that creates a life, a mindful life that we want, right? And in order for us to create the life that we want, we have to make changes. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So understanding that, if something isn't working, if the way that we're living our life isn't working, then there's changes that we have to make. But also understanding that it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be some bumps and hills and mountains that we're going to have to climb and go over, and valleys that we're going to have to go through. But the most important thing isn't the perfection, it's the consistency and the genuine intention. Okay. So that one is I don't need to be perfect. I simply show up with consistency and intention, is the reminder of that. It's the reminder that even though I want to be a better version of me, I know that better version of me is not going to be perfect. So give yourself compassion, give yourself grace in that. Okay. That was number two. Number three, each day I'm reinforcing habits that honor and reflect my best self. Each day, I'm reinforcing habits that honor and reflect my best self. One last time, each day, I'm reinforcing habits that honor and reflect my best self. Okay? Every day is one step closer to your best self, right? And so taking what each day at a time. That's something that I've been telling myself these past couple of weeks, is that it's not even about the end of the week, because sometimes we think about, let me just get to Friday, let me just get to the end of the month, let me just get to the first, let me just get to this, let me get to the 15th, let me get to this. And it's like, it's not about that, right? If we focus on each day at a time and wanting to make each day mindful, meaningful, and impactful, if we approach each day like that, we'll be able to remain present. We'll be able to manage our habits and our actions and our behaviors better. And we'll be able to create the version of ourselves that we're looking for. But when we're always looking at the future, if we're always looking at the next day, the next week, the next month, it creates this autopilot, right? When we talked about that earlier, where we're just operating on autopilot to try to get to that next day, to try to get to that next week, or to get to that next month. So understanding that each day is important, and as the more that we're able to be present in each of those days, the more that we're able to be mindful about each of those days, the better off we will be. Because when we're always thinking about the future, when we're always thinking about that next thing, it creates urgency, not just in our minds, but also in our bodies. And then we wonder why we're living in survival mode. We're wondering why our bodies are always anxious. We're wondering why our bodies are always feeling uneasy. So just understanding that each day is important and live each day intentionally. And the more that you're able to live each day intentionally, the better off you'll be, especially when building a new habit. Okay? Let's see here. Goddess D, I think I'm saying that right. This is very helpful. I'm actually on a solo date today in celebration of the food. Oh, okay. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you are on that solo date and enjoy your dinner. That's exciting. And I'm glad that this is helpful. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so that was number 3. Each day I'm reinforcing habits that honor and reflect my best self. Number 4, I consciously choose actions that support the life I'm creating. I consciously choose actions that support the life I'm creating. I'll say that one last time. I consciously choose actions that support the life that I'm creating. So it goes back to intentionality and consciousness. Like I said earlier, 90% of our actions are subconscious, okay? The only way that we're able to shift that is that we're consciously participating in every action and behavior that we're having. Have you ever driven home or even if you're like on trains or buses or whatever, have you ever just got home and then you were like, I don't remember driving. I don't remember turning down the street. I don't remember getting on the train. I don't remember getting on the bus because our minds are already so used to doing it. We completely miss it. So being conscious in even the mindless things is helpful in regards to choosing the actions that we want to choose. I like these affirmations because in the past, my self-conscious didn't believe that affirmations. Oh, you didn't believe in affirmations? Oh, okay. Yes, tense is important because a lot of times when we think about affirmations and any of these affirmations that I'm giving you guys, if it doesn't hold true to you, change it. This is just a framework. So if you need to change the language, if you need to add something or take something away, please do. By any means, this is just a framework. But yes, when it comes to affirmations, the way you say things and how you word things is so important, especially when it comes to your core beliefs and values. So, like if you have a core belief of something and you have an affirmation that contradicts that, but you try to say it just because it sounds good, it's not going to be helpful because of the fact that it creates an internal conflict with your own core belief or your own value, right? So feel free to, whenever you see an affirmation, yeah, you can say it that way, but if you feel like it sounds better or it's more comfortable in this saying it this way, then do that. That's how affirmations actually work. I can see why people would think that affirmations don't work, especially if you're just reading them just based off of what you see. Please change it if it don't make sense, or if it's the wording is weird, or if it's just the present tense versus past tense. Like I said with the first one, I'm becoming outside of I am. So sometimes you may say I am and you're like, I don't feel like I am. Change it to like I'm becoming, or I'm starting, or I'm beginning, because then that way it holds more true to you. Thank you so much for saying that, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel that way. Where was I at? That was number 4. Yes. Number 5, I'm rewiring my routine with love, intention, and grace. I'm rewiring my routine with love, intention, and grace. I'll say that one last time. I'm rewiring my routine with love, intention, and grace. Okay? Again, like I was talking about earlier with the brain, our brains are like a computer. You can reprogram, you can rewire it, but you want to rewire your brain with love, with intention, with strategy, with grace, with compassion, with peace. not with urgency, not with confusion, not with frustration, not with pressure, not with criticism, not with judgment, right? Because when you rewire in that state, you're rewiring it for, or you're attempting to rewire it for not for the best reasons, right? And that creates internally, when it comes to your nervous system and your brain and your behaviors and your actions and your emotions, it rewires it to a way where it's flawed, okay? And then it ends up creating more damage than good. Okay, so when you're rewiring, when you're reprogramming, when you're changing routines, do it with grace, do it with love, do it with intention, do it with a sense of passion, rather than urgency, rather than pressure. Okay, so that was number. I should have numbered these, y'all. That was number 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. That was 5. So the last one, number 6. I build habits from love and patience, not pressure. I build habits from love and patience, not pressure. I build habits from love and patience, not pressure. Okay. I hope this was helpful, y'all. I'll go back to the top just so that in case you missed any. Number 1 was I'm becoming the kind of person who follows through and aligns. Number 2, I don't need to be perfect. I simply show up with consistency and intention. Number 3, each day I'm reinforcing habits that honor and reflect my best self. Number 4, I consciously choose actions that support the life I'm creating. Number 5, I'm rewiring my routine with love, intention, and grace. And then number 6, I build habits from love and patience, not pressure. If you're looking for more information about how to build a better sense of habits, check out the book Atomic Habits. Some of the information I got is from there. Some of it's just with my own study and with my own knowledge, but a lot of the pinpoints came from the Atomic Habits book. So definitely make sure to check that out. I think it's by James Clear. Okay. And then again, like I said, if this is your first time, my name is Debbie, certified mindfulness coach, and also emerging counselor. If you are in Illinois and you're looking for a therapist, hit me up. The link should be on, I don't think it's going to be, I'll have to add it to the description for this video. So I'll add it to description for this video. But if you're in Illinois, I am a counseling intern, so emerging counselor. So if you are looking for therapy, definitely check me out. Also, if you want to get our newsletter, you can go to my website at haveninspired.com. You'll get a weekly newsletter just about our weekly topic. Again, it's going to be, this week will be on building habits or building good habits, and any other of the meditations that I post. I do try to post 2 meditations a week. Sometimes you get 1, sometimes you get 2, sometimes you get 3. Okay. So, but look out for the meditations for the week. Last week was, what was last week? I posted one yesterday on acceptance. So check that one out. That was a 5-minute meditation. And then, there was a 10-minute meditation on God's grace. So you can check that one out from last Thursday. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. If you are struggling with self-doubt, you can check out my book, Not Self, Let Me Be Great. The link is going to be in the description. It's a inspiration and workbook. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This live is every Monday, y'all. We back on. We back on. I took a break because I started my internship, but we are back on every Monday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So we'll be back next Monday. I will post a new, I'll have to take a look at the current poll But I will post a new poll for the topic so that way guys can vote on what topic we're talking about next Monday. But if we end up getting more votes in from last one, well, I'll probably just pick a topic from that one. But yes, look out for that. Make sure I'm not missing anything else. I think that's it, y'all. I think that's it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You have a great night too. Thank you, Hiru. Thank you for joining. If y'all have any questions, let me know from anything that I talked about tonight. You can always email me at info@haveninspired.com. And yeah, that's it, y'all. Y'all have a blessed night. I'll talk to you soon.